Hello everyone, my name is Inko, and this is Total War Attila. The Empires of the Sands DLC has just been released, and I have to say, I'm actually quite excited for this, because it's kind of a perfect storm, actually. The announcement and following release of the DLC kind of coincides with an interest in Ethiopian and Aksumite history for myself. I've been reading a lot about these guys, particularly about the church. So when I saw this was announced, I was like, well, now I have to play it, actually. And so we're going to be doing. We're, of course, going to be playing as Aksum. And here is our faction leader. And I've just noticed, actually, that our faction leader has a sombrero for a shield. So maybe he'll be doing a hat dance anytime now. He's also got a wizard staff with a nice head on it and a familiar. So we're actually going to be playing as an Ethiopian wizard with a nice crown. He's got a wizard hat as well. And to be fair, he does look quite handsome and stoic with his beard and great noble nose. So for those of you that are not aware, the Empires of the Sands DLC adds 3 factions: Himyar, the Tanukids, and Aksum. I'm not going to get into them too much. I just do want to say that the Tanukids are actually pretty interesting in that they are an eastern horde. In addition, the Lakhmids will be released alongside as a free DLC faction, so even if you do not get the DLC, you will get the Lakhmids, who are essentially Sassanid Persians' lapdog, it seems. Now, we'll do a quick overview of Aksum here before we jump in. Our faction leader is Eon BC Anaf, Eon of Anaf, basically Eon of Aksum. We are Eastern Christian, which we can get into at a later time. And then here's a quick little blurb about the Kingdom of Aksum. Basically, it boils down to we are an influential trade power, trade empire. We specialize in the spice trade, from the Spice Isles south around India, up around the Horn of Arabia, into the Gulf of Aden, and then, of course, into Ethiopia. So obviously these 4 factions are part of the Desert Kingdoms faction group, and they share a cultural trait, and the bonuses are as such. Sun-Scorched, +2 sanitation to all regions. I guess there's no swamps or anything, so disease can't fester and rot away at your empire. Attrition, immune to desert attrition, and also Scourge of the Desert, +15 melee attack during desert battles. And this is actually pretty handy when you're fighting, say, the Eastern Romans, the Sassanid Persians, because for the most part they don't have those bonuses, so it tends to, you know, even the playing field if you're these small Eastern empires. And then, of course, there's a negative faction trait here: Fractured Faiths. Increased public order penalty for religious differences between new religions faction-wide. So there's this kind of running theme here, this duality between the new religions and the old religions, that is Eastern Christianity and paganism, so you kind of have to choose between one or the other. There's 2 parallel religious building chains that have, you know, different units, different bonuses and such, so you have to really choose. In addition, Aksum has the faction trait Gateway to the East, and thus we get Supply Network, +30 food, +30 food from each active trade route to a maximum of 150. Merchant Guards, +100 to Mercenary Pool replenishment rate. Commercial Mastery, +10% from trade income. So you can see that the faction trait really reflects that trade background, that heritage. I guess you could kind of think of them as the Venice of Africa of their day. Anyway, we may as well jump right in here and start our campaign. We'll never see this lion ever again, so take a good look. Pet him. I don't have a name for this guy. Maybe if you guys do, leave a comment below. Here we go. We're going to start the campaign.
For many centuries, your empire has flourished away from civilization as the last great African kingdom. Now, however, the value of the Indian spice route has been truly realized, thrusting you into the limelight at last. Predictably, Rome courts you as an ally, pointing to your shared Christianity and the looming threat of the Himyarites across the water. You may rely on Roman support to cross the Red Sea and monopolize trade with the East, or you may reject their advances, turning back to the pagan roots that once sustained your kingdom. Perhaps then, you could unite with other kingdoms in the region to drive the Romans from African shores once and for all. Your choice will shape your kingdom. Make it well.
And here we are. We are now beginning a brand new series. We've got a pop-up right away. New religions. This is a time of radical religious change. Nations abandon old traditions and forge new paths almost overnight. Split religious chains allow you to exert much greater control in that area, essential if you wish to access religion-specific buildings, units, victory conditions, technologies, and events. However, these changes are not welcomed by all. Factions following new religions suffer severe public order penalties from the presence of rival faiths. Use priests, technologies, governors, and buildings to crush dissenting voices and spread your chosen religion across the land. Chapter 1, Preparation. They made ready for war. Okay, we've got some new objectives here. So I guess we're going to be doing like some religious genocide, basically a cultural genocide. We're just going to crush the dissenting voices. Now, here's Aksum, our faction leader. I guess we should start with a quick overview. As the advisor said, and that little pop-up said, they briefly touched on this. We kind of have this duality to our campaign. We can either side with the... Oh my god. We can either side with the Eastern Romans up in Alexandria, because we do actually have a shared history in our Christian roots. The Patriarch of Alexandria is essentially the father of our very own church. And we can use their alliance to push eastward and monopolize the spice trade, and then, I guess, double-team the Sassanids or whatever. Or we could just forsake our Christian ways and return back to, I believe it's Semitic paganism. If I could find the building browser. Here we go. Religion, Eastern Christianity, and Semitic paganism. So that's essentially our choice here. We can return back to our pagan roots. It's only been about, I think, 40 or 30 years that we've been Christian, so it's not a really a tough choice. I mean, I'm just saying there's not a huge amount of Christian tradition in our kingdom at this point in time. So that's a choice we have to make. We can return to the pagan ways and basically go rogue and attack the Romans and the Sassanids and try to just go it alone. We do have a problem right away in that our main province of Ethiopia, the city of Pacorus is occupied by Nobatia, which is a puppet state of the Eastern Roman Empire. So that's a bit of a problem. We'll put that in the column beneath stay allied with the Romans, because I don't really want to, fight with the Romans just to unify my own lands. Eventually, I suppose that's something we want to do. Next, we'll look at our family tree. We've got Eon of Aksum here, who is our faction leader, and he's very, very handsome, as I said, but unmarried, oddly enough. We've also got our son, who doesn't really... Well, no, I suppose he does actually look quite a lot like our faction leader. It's actually uncanny, the resemblance. Who goes by Yabani. He is also unmarried. We have a second son as well, the forgotten son, the one we don't really care about. His name is Nazul. He's 14 years old, and he will soon become of age. We've got some elders. Dutanis, who is just so incredibly black, my god. We've got Latem, another Eon, for some reason, who is a candidate. Zergaz, Wedem. We don't really care about any of these guys right now. We want to focus on our elders for certain. Although, having said that, Dutanis apparently is an elder, but he's only 21 years old. So, I don't know how apt a title like elders is. Dominion looks good. Control, tiny bit worrying. Power is balanced. That's great. Moving on. Summary. Our capital is Aksum. We saw that. Provinces own 0. Regions own 2. We saw that. Prosperity meager. Treasury 4,000. Our Eastern Christian religion, the state religion, is at 70% and rising. Semitic paganism, the old ways are being crushed ever so slowly. Now here are all of our traits. We've gone over these two. Power is balanced. Now Eastern Christianity gives us a buff in the form of a negative 5% to corruption, which is actually not great, but also not bad. I'm not sure what the Semitic paganism buff is. Maybe we can find it at some point. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to make that choice without knowing the buff of either. See, our line is gone. We've got the sombrero shield, our staff is missing, and our line is missing as well. Maybe that's like we have to like do some quests to acquire the two. Like we have to go into some like ancient wizard's tomb. Like we have to bust into the Great Pyramids to get the staff or something. It's got the Eye of Ra on the top of it. Anyway, I digress. We've also got 30 imported food from active trade routes, as we are currently only trading with Nobachi. I can see this being quite powerful in the beginning of the campaign. After all, we are in the desert, so where is this food coming from? Where is this food coming from? We do have some camel herds, etc. I mean, we're doing pretty good for food. We are getting 90 food and I guess consuming none. Apparently, yeah. Aksum is breaking even. Adulis is creating food, so we're breaking even, actually. Interesting. Okay, we'll look at our objectives very briefly as well. I hope you guys don't mind this overview. It's a slow start to every campaign, but it pays off, I think. Just so you guys have an idea of where we are. Okay, Chapter 1, Preparation, Survive, we know this. Military buildup, maintain 15 units in total. Current 14, so we have to build 1 unit and keep them for 5 years. Easy peasy. For 1,000 gold. Okay. Research the following technology. Centralized authority. Okay. Yeah, we kind of have to centralize our power base. Now, we also have to adding and abetting. Check out that pun. Whoever wrote that shit at CA, you get a double thumbs up from me. Well done. That's, well, I mean, it's an okay pun. Anyway, maintain trade relations with 4 factions. Current total, 1. The Kingdom of Aksum held in an advantageous position with access to the Gulf of Aden, enabling trade with the East. This made it a powerful trading nation with partners right across the entire ancient world. I think actually it was Mani, the Iranian prophet and founder of Manichaeism. He ranked the Kingdom of Aksum as one of the top 4 great superpowers of his day, alongside Rome, Sassanid Persia, and China. So you can kind of get an idea of how influential Aksum was in its day. And for some reason, it's forgotten in history. I didn't know much about this kingdom until just recently, till I started looking into it. As a Westerner, I had no idea. Especially like the Kingdom of Ethiopia as well. I had no idea. Anyway, the rights of power. Be at war with the following faction, Himyar. So we're going to sail across the Red Sea here, I believe. And then we will attack Himyar in what appears to be like Yemen. What in the fuck is this now? We've discovered like some sort of otherworldly being illuminating the coast of Yemen with some sort of light. Maybe it's like a lens lamp or something buried in the sand, and we have to move an army over there and dig it up, and then we get the whole sand face. Do you guys remember that in Aladdin? The face. I can't remember what he says. Anyway, so we have a mission to go to war with Himyar. I mean, which we can do. And then don't ask him for permission. Again, another great pun. Hold the following settlement, Udaman. So if we go to war with Himyar, capture Udaman, you will get 2,000 gold, and I think we're going to be all over that. As for trade and finance, taxes, not that great. We're making 1,700 per turn. We can crank taxes even lower, and it doesn't even really affect us right now. Yeah, let's put taxes down a little bit, just so that we don't lose any public order. I guess it doesn't really matter, but growth was great. Growth is great to begin with. Trade, we are getting quite a bit of trade with Nobachi, 241. And then their summary is kind of useless right now. Now, as for technology, our first civic technology is centralized authority, which of course we have a mission to get, and we may as well do right off the bat. There we go. As for diplomacy, we've got a non-aggression pact with the Eastern Romans. Can we trade with them?
Be welcome. I listen and speak
no.
Today.
Which is odd. Maybe it's because I would say there's this landmass between us and Constantinople. I'm not sure. We are trading with Nobatia. The only other trade partner we have is Himyar. We're not going to get involved in that because, of course, we plan to invade within the next 5 years. So it's not really a big deal. Strength ranking 9. Wow. We're not doing bad, actually. I thought we would be much worse. Maybe we do actually. We must have, like, territories off the map. And that's represented in our starting strength or something. Because Himyar has just as much land as us. And their strength ranking is 22. And they're also Jewish. I completely forgot about that. Not that it really matters. I'm not like an anti-Semite or anything. Actually, this is when I reveal to all of you that I'm actually a neo-Nazi. Surprise! Okay, so the first thing we want to do, I guess, is take a look at our building browser as well. Because, like I said, there's this branched religious building, and I think our military buildings are kind of interesting as well. There's a city infantry building, a town levy building, which can only be built in small settlements, but it seems to unlock all sorts of weird units. And then we've got a city, like, cavalry corral as well. So we really only have to manage 2 or 3 military buildings, as well as upgrades, of course. So that's a little different. And then we've got standard stuff all throughout fields, city centers, and towns, except the city center is kind of interesting. I do like that a lot of these buildings are locked behind having to actually acquire these trade resources, such as dyes and salt, silk. I like that quite a bit. It adds some difficulty. Also, this one, you have to control a gold resource and achieve a monopoly on spice resources. Interesting. As for town centers, it just needs dyes, it seems. Industry, town industry. Also, there's these pleasure houses, which are a way of increasing public order, whilst also gaining wealth, but it does reduce the influence of your state religion, so I guess you can put this in places that are pretty concretely of your religion. That's another interesting thing we can do. So that's industry. Sanitation, we're not going to be too worried about this right now because we have that bonus, of course. Ports. We also have some interesting ports in that we've got the regular ports in cities, but also we've got for spices, this port here, port spices, which actually unlocks different military units and allows us to collect spice, so it's kind of a dual purpose building. And then of course we've got these victory, well, not victory conditions, but conditions to build these as well. Own 2 or more spice resources, achieve a monopoly on spice resources. So we've got some interesting stuff going on right off the bat, which is why I'm actually pretty pleased with this DLC. There seems to be a lot of interesting stuff, and actually the Tanakids are pretty interesting. Now, we've got our capital of Aksum, which is a small city. We've got hunting grounds, which give us furs, because Aksum apparently is known for furs. When we can upgrade that right off the bat. We're not going to bother. Right now, we've got some infantry quarters, a church in the form of Aksumite monks. We can do some cave churches. And then we've also got a wind catcher, which is not entirely necessary right now because our sanitation is through the fucking roof. Adulis is a spice port. We've got one, an oriental dock set up already. We've got a hamlet and some camel herds. What else can we build? We've got camel herds, wheat fields, sheep flocks, and horse breeders. Interesting. We don't really need to look at that right now either because we've got all the food in the world. I think maybe we don't need the wind catcher right now. We can probably turn it into, say, some public baths, which will increase public order and actually give us wealth. It will consume food, though, and that's just fine because we have an excess of food. We may as well do that. It will also increase the sanitation of Adulis, which may be a problem down the line. Okay, we'll convert this into public baths for 2,200 gold coins. We've got our king in the army, the Children of the Sun, and it's not a bad army. We've got some Tor warriors. We've got some weird-ass... I don't even know what you would call those things. Perhaps they're Tor, actually. I wonder. Oh, the endgame encyclopedia, though. That's one of my main concerns leveled at the new Total Wars is like the browser-based encyclopedia. Who's the dingus that came up with this? I don't know. Is it a spear, really? Okay, so apparently the Assegai. I don't know. I don't really want to read that. We've got some Afar swordsmen from near and afar, and they've got some curved swords as well. Desert bowmen, desert hurlers, Afar camel riders, desert raiders, Adana trackers. So we've got some pretty standard units in bowmen, hurlers, and desert raiders. But then we've got these Adana trackers, which are a dual-purpose warhound missile unit. Very interesting. We can recruit some desert levy, some swordsmen, bowmen, hurlers. We've got 6 slots open. Let's see. These guys apparently are spearmen. And we've got some sword infantry. We may as well get a little bit more sword infantry. For 180 gold, may as well do. Some hurlers, okay. And spears. There we go. That's not a bad army to begin with. Yes, we do. We do indeed. And we will march these men to Adulis soon so that we may... I think we need to raise a fleet, actually. And I wonder, should we get Detanis on it? He seems to be the kind of guy that would like to sail. No, he's a scholar, apparently. Pretty much the absolute opposite. Marksman, patron. I think our son is going to be a governor of some kind. A fearless warrior. Okay, we can get second Eon. Eon the second, and he can be all over... over this battle. You know what? I think we'll get Latem to be our admiral because he's got a marksman bonus. Maybe that will be a boon to our ships, our missile ships. Oh man, look at these things. Look at these ships. These look pretty cool, actually. I gotta say, this guy's got a pretty good beard. I didn't notice before. Maybe it's perhaps the contrast between his white robes and his black beard that I've only just now realized he's got a really great beard. And in fact, so does Eon the Second. Unfortunately, our son, barefaced, like a wee baby. And also, Detanis has a cool little chin thing going on there. It's like a massive soul patch. No, that's not a soul patch. It's like a goatee. Anyway, we may as well recruit, I would say, galley. Yeah, I think 2 ships is fine for now. And then we can sail around, explore, maybe get all the way up into here. I forget what this body of water is called. Get up into, like, Baluchistan and Persia and shit. I think that's very nearly all we want to do this turn. What we could do, though, is actually move Eon into Adulis. Look at this fucking guy. He is a go-getter. You know why? Because he chose to ride through the fucking desert like it was no thing instead of like taking the slow route around and using the road. But he's just like... Everyone's like, great King Eon, should we ride along the great road of Aksum? And he's like, how long? 2 days? Fuck it, we're riding through the desert. We've also got these nice little columns here. I can't quite recall what they're called, but apparently they're like really iconic of like Aksum because it's their thing. They're like the pyramids of the Mayans or the pyramids of Egypt, I guess. It's their little thing. Again, had very little knowledge about these until, the past couple months. I think that's very nearly it this turn. We are almost out of gold. We've only got 250 left, and with that, we can't do anything. So, to recap, we'll build an army, we'll put it on this new fleet, we'll sail around. I think maybe... Do we want to do that, like, right off the bat? Maybe we'll recruit another ship and we'll do some scouting first, because we do have 5 years to go to war and capture Eudaimon, so, I mean, it's not a huge rush. We should cozy up to the Eastern Romans, I think, because we want to get to know them a little bit better. We've got a non-aggression pact. What else can we get? Military alliance. Nope, they are not interested. Can we become a puppet? That would be great. I don't think there's much we can do with the Eastern Romans right now. And as a result, I think that's, as I said, about it this turn. Although we can build something in Adulis. We can build some fields, some town levy, industry. Maybe some levy would be interesting, actually, because then we get some cheap swordsmen. We unlock desert raiders and those warhounds, although we do have to research a new technology to do so. As for industry, not that great. Town center. I don't know, I think maybe we'll hold on to the growth so that we can grow Aksum first and foremost, because it will require a long amount of time to save up 7 growth right off the bat. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you're stoked for this new series, as I am. I apologize that all we got done was this one turn, but I really like to do an overview so you guys can get an idea of what's going on. We're not just diving in and you have no fucking idea. That's just how I like to do it. But anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys with episode 2